this, I think, a desire to return to a simpler time where the world was less complex, but you recognize that we're in it whether we want to be or not. Our world has become more technologically dependent, not less. And with the pandemic, children at home, being on computer screens, they are a part of our daily life. What I really thoroughly enjoyed, though, were the practical hints. And you bring that out at the end of a chapter where you bring out the Freedom Project. Describe what the Freedom Project is for us so we might know a bit more about it. And why did you include that in the book?
So the Freedom Project is a set of experiments that are sequenced to try to encourage readers to try new things in order to discover if there might be just some other way of living into your day, some small adjustment. It's called the Freedom Project because I think we tend to think about technologies as the means through which we can gain freedom, right? That's often what we're told, right? We can be free to express ourselves. We can be freed of the constraints of time and space and talk to people on the other side of the world, right? So there's all these kinds of freedoms that are marketed to us, right? And certainly it is the case that there are a lot of freedoms that are granted to us through technologies. But the Freedom Project is trying to turn our idea of freedom around and say, while there may be some freedoms that come with technologies, for many of us, our daily experience is we actually feel a fair bit of tyranny from our technologies. We feel that we are being driven by them, right? Yeah. Like we feel driven to have to go through that inbox, right? And like read all those emails and respond. We have to keep up with the social media feed. We've got to keep up, right? We got to keep up the blog. It's just 24/7 relentlessness, right? And so the freedom that I'm interested in is actually what kind of freedom can we experience in relation to our technology? That is, what kind of relationship can we have with our technologies where we don't feel enslaved by it, tyrannized by it, but we can use our technologies with freedom, right? And even experience freedom of self. I think, we talk about our young people, right? In our lives, it's like, this is a hard time to be growing up when you're on social media, right? I mean, there is no freedom in that space, right? Because you are looking at everyone else, they're looking at you, and you are getting immediate reinforcement of whatever is appealing, not appealing, right? And that is not freedom at all, right? And so the Freedom Project is, how do we grow into people who can be free of the fear of what other people are thinking, freedom to be who we truly are, right? Freedom to bring our weakness and our flaws to in front of someone else, trusting that they're still going to love us, right? That kind of freedom, right? Which I believe is the freedom that a life of following Jesus, is what we long for and what is promised, right? That is the freedom of the gospel. And so that's the freedom that we're looking for. So the Freedom Project lays out, it starts with a digital fast, right? Try to go 24 hours without technology, which is kind of crazy. It's sort of like jump into the deep end of the pool. But the point of these exercises and experiments is not about success or failure. It's not a New Year's resolution. It's not like, hey, you got to lose 15 pounds, right? It's more like, hey, let's see what happens when you try, right? Just to find out. It's just to find out a little bit, like, how painful is it? How awesome is it? How, what is it that happens when you try one of these experiments, right? So I ended up putting the Freedom Project in the book in large part from my experiences of giving talks, is that, as an academic, I can nerd out on all the sociology and theology and be completely satiated, right? I'm pleased as punch, just doing the abstract stuff and the data. But I realized pretty quickly, and my editors helped me realize too, like regular people just they want practical things in their life.
Practical steps. What do I do with it?
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing was, and I mentioned this in the book, is it was actually a project that I started doing in my classes. I teach a class on internet society, and I walk my students through the same series of experiments. And it's just been really gratifying and fun, even listening to the students and watching them go through the process and kind of just slowly walk into a kind of asking new questions about their relationship with technology that are fruitful, right? And it's not to say that every student changes their life or makes major changes in the way they use their digital devices, but it's a little space that gives them an opportunity to try something else, try something different, like driving without listening to any music or anything, for 15 minutes and see how that goes, right? So there's little types of experiments like that are in the project.